let's talk about the game. As we mentioned, this Denver Broncos pass rush is one of the best in the league. Um, and it's not like they have any huge names up front. Um, I think Jonathan Cooper is their best pass rusher. Most people won't know who he is. Zach Allen is also another name to watch for, and he kind of rushes from the inside and moves around the defensive line. Um, but this team, they're also number one in ESPN's pass rush win rate. So they win a lot under 2.5 seconds. They create a lot of pressure. And part of it is Vance Joseph blitzes a lot. And he's not blitzing just to try to get overload you. He's blitzing so he gets all his guys one-on-one rushes. He's bringing five a lot. So all his guys are one-on-one with your offensive lineman. And that's how they typically are getting these pressure numbers. And they're going to play man coverage, and they're going to play a lot of bump and run and just try to get you to hold the ball for an extra second. And as we know, that's been kind of Gardner Minshew's bugaboo is kind of holding on to the ball and creating his own pressure. So that's something that he can't do in this game. He's going to have to just trust his receivers and try to get the ball downfield. The Broncos also lead the league in man coverage rate. So obviously this would have been a great game for Davante Adams, and he probably would have been matched up against Patrick Surtain a lot, who some people believe to be the best corner in the NFL right now. Across from Patrick Surtain is Riley Moss, who's also playing at a very high level too. So this is they're going to play a lot of one-on-one coverage. They're not going to double team your receivers a lot. So this could be an opportunity for Trey Tucker, to use his speed and get downfield. I think the one thing with Surtain that you can get him on is long speed, but you have to be able to get off that bump and run coverage. So it's going to be up to Luke Getsy to kind of get him off of press coverage, either through motion, formation, whatever it is. But you could get downfield. You're gonna have to block these guys up, and you're gonna have to get past that initial bump and run coverage.
My guess is that Surtain will probably follow Jacoby Myers around. I would think that'd be the way to do. And Myers had a nice week last week, and tough matchup for him, clearly. I mean, I think Davante's gotten the better of Surtain in the past, but he mentioned that's two of the top guys in the league. It might be a long day for Jacoby, but we'll see. I think, like you said, Tucker will be a big factor. He has to be. I think Brock Bowers, I think the Broncos have shown they're a little weak in the middle of the field, so maybe your tight ends involved. I mean, Harrison Bryant, he's a solid player. He could have some catches on third down and replacing Michael Mayer. But I think the tight ends have to be a focus this week, and Trey Tucker as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing that I'm watching when the Raiders have the ball is just are they do they get more aggressive in the pass game? I think not having Davante and going against the Broncos defense, which has been really good. I don't think them playing as tight as they were against the Browns in the second half, mostly in that fourth quarter. I don't think that's going to get it done. Maybe they're able to have success running the ball again like they did last week, but even then, I think they're going to have to, ratchet it up a little bit in the pass game. So I think it's mostly saying how Luke Getsy approaches things now that, at least from what we expect, Davante Adams isn't going to be back into the fold and they have to sort of reconstruct their offense.
Yeah, I think ideally this is a Brock Bowers game. Whenever you play a great man coverage team with two strong corners, you have to be able to take advantage of those inside matchups. And they didn't do a great job of getting Bowers the ball last week. But I think this week, I think Bowers needs to have a big game for this offense to really have hope of moving the ball. I think he needs to be to get 80 yards or above for this offense to truly be successful. I don't see them moving the ball as successfully as they did against the Browns, against this Broncos front. I think I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were early in the season. I think the run game has taken some strides. But to me, I think Brock Bowers has to be a focal point in this game. And also, passing to your running backs is a good option against teams like this. Alexander Madison's supposed to be a pretty good receiving back. We haven't seen him get used a lot in that aspect, but this could be a game where you do target your back a few more times than usual.
One of the I was looking at one of the details in the Antonio Pierce thing was one of the violations was he took players recruits to strip clubs. That's a violation. I know it's a violation. Anyway, but sorry, just distracted looking at the Antonio Pierce news. But yeah, I think like you said, Luke Getsky's kind of on the spot. I think this is. I mean, he's always been all year long. Fans have kind of been uh, lukewarm at best about him. I think now with Davante out, and we saw last week he got a little more matches with the jet sweeps and got the running game going. So I think it's his time to show what he can do. I think and they need more out of Gardner Minshew. He has not played that well. I mean, he's a nice percentage pass of completing passes, but holding the ball too long, missing some receivers, and maybe Luke Getsy can help him with that and get him going this weekend against a good Broncos defense.
Yeah, and when the Raiders on defense, what are you guys watching for?
Well, is Max playing? If Max is playing, which I think you have to believe he will. I mean, he's only missed last week was the first game he's missed his whole career, and I think he knows that the team's chances of winning improve a lot if he's on the field. So I think just watching him how he does, how he comes back from the high ankle sprain, if he's able to move around a little better. When he played 2 weeks ago, he wasn't very effective, and I think that probably was a big reason why he sat out last week. So he's a big difference maker. So I think get him going, and that'll help the rest of the front line kind of, because you got to attack Bo Nix. Bo Nix makes a lot of mistakes, and he's not really a threat down the field as far as hurting it deep. So got to watch the short stuff and get some pressure on him, and hopefully he turns them all over.
Yeah, I think I'm looking for the defensive line to finally have one of those dominant games. I mean, the Broncos, while they're 2-2 and they're coming off winning back-to-back games, they still can't really run the ball, and they've had some pass protection issues. And I'm sure part of that is, Bo Nix not mitigating pressure as well, being a rookie quarterback. But I mean, especially, if Max is able to come back, or even if he isn't really, I think the defensive line is really what I'm watching in this game. They've had a bunch of injuries, and so it's, understandable why they haven't been the unit we expected, but I think that's going to be the key in this one, because even though Nix hasn't played well, I mean, any quarterback, if you give them all day to sit back there and throw, they're going to cause some issues. And I still think Courtland Sutton's a pretty good receiver. And so I think that's the main thing to watch when the Raiders are on defense.
Yeah, Max Crosby I thought he's always played well against the Broncos offensive line. So it'd be huge if he could play. I thought Christian Wilkins played an amazing game last week, even though I don't think did he have a sack last week?
Half a sack, yeah.
Yeah, half a sack, but I don't think that reflects the true impact he had on the game. So he needs to continue to be dominant, because even if Crosby's playing, obviously he's not going to be 100%. Adam Butler had a really good game against the Browns as well. And we talked about Tyree Wilson, who's really gotten progressively better and had a really good game against the Browns too. So all those guys need to step up and just continue to pressure Bo Nix, because he's prone to mistakes and he's not great with pocket management. And I think Jacorian Bennett is a pretty good matchup for a guy like Courtland Sutton. Obviously, the Raiders don't really travel the corners much. So, yeah, we'll see. But if you're doing ISO routes, like if you're throwing a fade or a slant, Jacorian Bennett's been really good on those type of routes. And those are the kind of routes that Courtland Sutton does run. So I think defensively, they have some good matchups. I would be very surprised if this wasn't a very low scoring game. All right, so let's get into our matchups that you guys are watching for. What matchups are you guys watching for?
Pastor Tane versus Jacoby Myers. I think with Jacoby stepping up as in the Raiders' number one receiver now, and he did the same thing last week. I would imagine that he's going to draw a lot of attention from Surtain, who usually doesn't ask for too much help. And so I think if Myers can win that matchup more than people expect, that could help open things up for the Raiders offense. Myers, he's been a number one receiver before in his career. That's basically what he was with the Patriots for a couple of years before he, signed with the Raiders. And so it's not necessarily a new role for him, but just seeing how he handles this week against one of the best corners in the league.
Yeah, I'll say I'll go with the offense. I think Gardner Minshew against Vance Joseph and against the linebackers on the defense is kind of reading what's available, making plays, not don't turn the ball over. And I think you mentioned Brock Bowers has a big player. Madison out of the backfield, it could be a weapon. So I think ideally you want to take some chances deep, but you got to make some plays in the middle of the field to kind of soften the defense up. So I think that'll be my big focus on Gardner playing a little better. I think he has to elevate his game a little bit now with Davante gone, and we'll see if he can do that.
To me, I'm going to watch Brock Bowers against the Broncos inside linebackers. Justin Sternad, I don't know how to pronounce his name, and Cody Barton, who to me, Cody Barton's always kind of struggled in coverage. So if you could get that Bowers matched up on those linebackers, I think you could create a few explosive plays. All right, let's get into X factors. Who are you guys' X factors?
I'm gonna go Tommy Eichenberg. I think if Masterson is out, which and Diablo's still out, then I think that will be a time for the rookie. Pierce talked about him a lot this training camp. A guy he thought had a lot of promise. He hadn't shown much yet. Having a lot of big chances. Played a little bit last week, but I hope might play the whole game if due to injury. So he's a guy who I love his instincts, I love his toughness and his tackling ability. So he's a guy. The Broncos are going to try to run the ball. Javonte Williams had a big week last week, so I think he's kind of back on the right track. So you need some help with to Spillane in the middle of the field. So Eichenberg will be tested this week, and we'll see who's up for the challenge.
Probably Brock Bowers, I would say. I know that we saw him already sort of have his breakout game against the Ravens, but that was alongside Davante Adams. I think this is kind of a big test for him to show that he can be a guy that's a go-to option in the passing game, especially if Myers is drawing a lot of the attention for Surtain. While the Broncos collectively have played well on defense, I'm not sure they really have a great matchup for Brock Bowers. And so looking for him to have a big game in this one, I think he could be an X factor that really gets that Raiders offense going.
Yeah, so to me, I think Bowers is the guy that has to be heavily involved in the game plan. But I think the X factor for me would be Trey Tucker. I think he needs to have one or two big catches. To me, this is going to be a very close defensive game. But I think if Tucker could hit one or two big plays and maybe even a big touchdown, that could change the outcome of this game. All right, so let's get into everybody's favorite portion of this podcast, our predictions. Let's start with you, Vic, who's unselfishly broke the curse last week.
Well, hopefully I'm not starting a pattern here, but I'm going to pick the Raiders to win. I'm not a Bo Nix guy. I think Gardner Minshew's a better quarterback right now. I think it might be forever. So I think there's a big edge there. I think the Raiders defense, you talked about the D-line, can get some pressure on Bo Nix, make some mistakes. There's not a lot of weapons on that offense. For the Broncos, I think the Raiders still may have the better offense even without Davante. So I think it will be, like you said, sort of lower scoring game. But I got the Raiders winning, I'm going to say 24-14.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the Broncos. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think I have the Broncos winning 20-17. I don't think it's going to be a ton of offense in this one. I do think it's going to be tough sledding for the Raiders offense against this Broncos defense. I do think they're legit. And we just saw them hold the Jets in check last week. And I think we would probably say that the Jets have more firepower on offense than the Raiders at this point without Davante Adams. And so, I think also just the number of injuries that they have elsewhere on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. I think they're going to be short-handed this week. Even if Max Crosby comes back, I don't think all those guys are going to make it back. And I do think there's something to, being a little bit deflating, having this Davante Adams situation emerge. Coming off a win, like at home, that should have been like a, sort of a rallying moment moving forward. And that pretty much immediately zapped all of the good vibes out of it. So I do think there's going to be a down week for them on the road, and then they're going to take a loss.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close game, close defensive game. And just with everything going on with the Raiders in the locker room and just playing on the road, I'm going to give the edge to the Broncos. I'm going to say 17-16. I'm going to keep it super close. 17-16 Broncos. Again, I think this game could go either way, and whoever makes a big play on offense, I think probably will swing this game. All right. Well, that's all we have for you guys today. These guys need to get to the locker room and get a more of a sense about the vibes of this Raiders team right now. But make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you guys subscribe wherever you guys get your podcasts. Thanks for joining us, and we will go live after the Raiders play the Denver Broncos. So make sure you catch us then. Later, guys.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Peace.
Hasta la vista.